Welcome back. Should I move my Dr. Pepper out of the way? Is that distracting? I'll move it. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite movies this year, and honestly, a little side piece. That's not a phrase. It is, but not for what I'm trying to say. Something to say before we get into the video. There have been so many good movies out. I talked about The Odyssey a few days ago, a week ago, I don't know. The Devil Wears Prada movie was good. The sequel, the drama was good. The Hoppers was great. It was one of my number ones. There were so many good ones. But anyway, today I'm going to be talking about the movie Sheep Detectives. I loved this movie. I thought it was really funny and cute, but also like really moving. And I just rewatched it today. So I saw it in theaters, loved it. I feel like there were some people talking about it online. It's also hard to tell because like your algorithm is gonna be whatever. But I feel like I recommended it to people and no one that I recommended it to actually went and saw it, which is kind of annoying. But I thought it was really, really good. I know it's kind of a weird concept. And when I was seeing the trailer before, I was like not planning on seeing it. But I saw a few people talking about it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go see it. I love the movies. And I have a little Cinemark movie club rewards. So I just go see them. But it was really great. It was really, really great. And anyway, I watched it again today, cried again. I even cried just like thinking about it before I watched it. But anyway, let me get into it. I have my notes on my phone, so I'm gonna be, reading as I kind of speak here. Also, why is my phone on 7%? I think we'll survive. I'll go on airplane mode. Okay, so I'll start with like the silly, fun, lighthearted opinions and then go down into the more like deep parts of the movie. And there are some anyway, I'm gonna get into it. There's some things that are so sad. Like it's such a sad movie in a lot of ways. But anyway, I'm gonna get to it. So first, why do the sheep look real to me? Is that stupid? Like, do other people think the sheep just looked CGI? I don't know how they do that. I don't know much about movies in that way, but I feel like they look like real sheep. I don't know why that's the thing that stuck with me today, but like I feel like they look like sheep. I feel like they look like sheep. Also, how does that actually work? I'm not gonna get into that whole conversation, but I actually don't know how any of that works. I loved the cop character. I have to shout him out, and I probably could Google him and know his name, but I know he's from Sky High. I saw him in the SNL movie. I thought he was great in that, even though he doesn't have the huge role, he was great. And I loved him in this. I think his character is so funny. I did write down some of his lines, but it's not funny when I'm reading his lines. I can't read these. It's not funny if I'm reading them. But he was a really funny character. I really liked him. He was probably, I don't know if there were like a million laughs in the movie or anything. I think if you went with kids, they probably would laugh a little more because it is like a kind of a kid movie. Which, should I say what the movie's about? I'm so sorry. Basically, the sheep detectives, and I'm not even bringing this to the beginning. If you're still here, thank you for watching. The Sheep Detectives movie is it's based on a book I've learned, and I can't remember what the book is called. It's not called The Sheep Detectives, it's something else. And apparently the book is more like dark and intense. I don't know. Maybe I'll read it. I'm not sure. But it's about Hugh Jackman's character, George, who is a shepherd on a farm with a bunch of sheep, and he gets murdered. And the sheep they're detectives. I guess that's not a verb for detective. Detectives don't detect necessarily. That's interesting. They more investigate. Okay, the sheep investigate the crime and they end up solving the crime. It's very satisfying. It's like a nice little satisfying story. Such a twist. I did not know who the killer was. So if you want a good twist in a movie, go watch it. There was a good twist in it. But that's basically the movie. So anyway, it's very sweet, and there's a lot of themes of like grief and blissful ignorance, and I don't know. There's a lot about that. But anyway, I think I was going to be talking about how it was funny. I did think it was funny, but the cop character in particular, shout out to Sky High, shout out to that guy. Love him. He's great. He's everything. But I will say, it's a really, yes, it's a kid's movie. It's a very cute movie, but I was very entertained by it. I watched it again today. I could watch it again. I loved it, and I do want people to go watch it. I think also movies in general, and I don't know if I touched on this in my Odyssey video or not, but movies in general, I love stories. And I think recently, in particular this year, I don't know if it's because I've seen so many movies, because I feel like, after COVID, it took a second to catch up. Movies have been back for a bit, like they have been, and there have been good ones prior too. But this year in particular, I just feel like I've seen so many good ones, and I remember saying before, like I was like, I feel like I understand art, like I understand it. I've always loved stories and I've always loved creating them, but I couldn't always put words to like what is actually the point. And I think a movie like this, and a great movie to me, which I think is this movie, is something that reminds me like how people use art to process trauma and hard feelings and intense feelings, or just any feeling. It doesn't have to be hard and intense, it could be love or whatever, but you kind of process it through this like fictional lens. It doesn't have to be fictional, I guess, but in this case it is. And in the case of the stories that I like to write or think about or whatever, they're fictional. But I love that. I really love and appreciate that about movies. Something that can make me really feel. I mean, I'm speaking for everyone, I feel like, but also just something where it's like, I think I appreciate a kids movie sometimes for the simplicity of it. Like one of my favorite movies ever is Hunchback of Notre Dame, and there's some intense, dark things in the movie. Like it's a kids movie, yeah, but there's some intense things in there. But there's just something so special about a story that really like explores the spectrum of human emotions and feelings and the things that we go through. I don't know, in a way that's like memorable and entertaining. That's the point of stories, right? I'm just going through the point of stories, but I noticed that that's what makes a good movie to me. And so that's what this one is. So I just wanted to touch on that before getting into the biggest theme of the movie and why I felt like it was so meaningful to me in particular. I don't think I'm gonna get emotional. I don't think I'm going to, but I might. Um, but basically, so George the shepherd, aka Hugh Jackman, is murdered in this movie, and the sheep have this thing where they can choose to forget. And so they'll like choose to forget. I don't feel like this is a crazy spoiler or anything. I mean, obviously that he's murdered, that's like in the trailer, but whatever. Um, but they choose to forget. They have this capacity to be able to choose to forget. Um, and like there's a lot of themes around like remembering painful things is painful and it's really hard, um and like forgetting is easy, and like blissful ignorance and all these things. And I think for me, I really I think for me I really reflect a lot on that. I didn't realize that this was in the frame. I had to pick up a squishy as I was talking about this. Um, I lost my aunt 6 months ago now, a little over 6 months ago. 6 months and a few days. And for me, I don't need to get too into detail, but like I've really struggled with like not even struggle, I've just been in shock for the last 6 months. Like looking at pictures and almost feeling like I don't like know even who that is. Obviously I do, but you know what I mean? If you've lost someone in your brain has the same reaction where it's like kind of in shock for a long time. And I feel like I don't know. I think anyone can kind of relate to that. Anyone can understand blissful ignorance and like having to feel something, even in terms of like beyond grief. And I'll get back into grief because obviously there are a lot of grief themes in the movie, and in particular, there's themes around remembering someone, and that's like how you honor them. Like there's a lot of that in the movie. So obviously, watching that while in a place of grief is a little intense in hindsight, but I think helpful because it's true, right? That is truly how you honor somebody. And yeah. Anyway, getting but like even with thinking about when you're going through anything and you maybe disassociate, stories have been that for me for my life. Like that has been disassociating and escaping into this world. I've been a chronic maladaptive daydreamer. Genuinely. By the way, people throw that term around casual as if they're just like imagining. That is a real, like that's actually a real thing. Not to be like I'm not offended by it or anything, not to be like whatever, but people don't understand when you're really maladaptive daydreamer and like you really are you're losing hours, you're losing days of your life. But that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll do a whole nother video about that. That's a whole nother thing. But point is, stories have been this escape for me for a really long time. Anyways, I'm saying this to say like sometimes when you dissociate. By the way, I always thought that word was disassociate. It's dissociate. Dissociate. Anyway, that's maybe everyone knew that. But anyway, I think when you dissociate, you push these feelings away but you still have to feel them. And when you start feeling them, when you start healing, it can feel like regression because it's so painful and it's easier just to forget. But like, what actually are you going to do? At a point in this movie, one of the sheep, well, yeah, one of the sheep can remember everything. And so he's talking to the other sheep who wants to forget. This other sheep wants to just forget. And but she's forced to remember because that's how she saves the day, and like nothing would be saved if she didn't remember. Anyway, just like saying that you can't really heal or get to a better place if you just forget. If you're just living in this escape fantasy world, whatever that looks like for somebody, whether it was like a substance or your own brain or whatever, like you can't ever come out on the other side of that. And I appreciated that part of the movie. So there's that element, and then there's back to the grief thing. But I don't know, that just really moved me, and I think that's why I was even crying about it earlier when I was thinking about watching it, because I just watched it on my treadmill today, like for the second time I ever just watched it, which I know is not the best way to watch a movie, but that's how I watched Obsession 2, walking on my treadmill. I love that. I love that. And I loved Obsession too. Maybe I'll do a video about that. I have less thoughts on it. I loved it, but anyway. Um, but yeah, I don't know. That is emotional. And I think grief is really a strange thing. And it's a strange journey to lose somebody. And death is something that feels like so stupidly fake until it's not. Um, and yeah, so I don't know. If you're grieving, watch at your own risk. I appreciated it because I think, I don't know, it's something to like think about, and it's nice to just like feel things and feel sad and painful, and yeah, and painful, but also, remembering why it's important to remember the good memories you have of somebody, and like why that is actually honoring somebody. So, all that being said, that is my kind of review of the Sheep Detectives movie. I loved it. I really recommend it to other people. I want everyone to watch that movie because I thought it was really, really, really good. It was funny and it was cute and obviously like really intense emotionally. It just like a really entertaining, great story. So shout out to whoever made that. I guess shout out to the author of the original book. I don't know. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Bye.